Hello and welcome to Expanding a Data Model in Power Pivot. Think of spatial data in terms of Excel as referring to a worksheet or an imported table for use in Power Pivot as listing geographical data. The data can refer to cities, towns, points of interest, oceans. In terms of Contoso, location of stores. Geographical data stored in a worksheet or table uses unique latitude and longitude references. Such references can be used in any number of systems, but in context of this presentation, Power Map. Another reference often used are postal codes. A word of caution, some postal code systems only refer to a neighborhood and not a unique single location such as a house or a flat. Some mapping software can make use of place names such as country, county, city, and complete street addresses. Now, let's move on. You may recall in an earlier presentation I created a workbook using publicly available databases, and you're now viewing the workbook's worksheet called Global Population. This sheet shows continents, countries, capitals, and population growth percentage. For the purposes of keeping this demo simple, the data held in this worksheet is adequate. What's important is having viewed this video, you feel confident to try out Excel 2016 mapping software for yourself. And that's the objectives for this course series. Let's begin by clicking the Insert tab and clicking the 3D Open Map icon. A new window appears. If you cast your eyes down towards the bottom, you will see a plus icon. Clicking this icon adds a new tour. There is a second way to achieve the same result. I click the top right window, close icon to close the window. Now I'll show you the second way. Left click the 3D map icon drop down arrow and in the sub menu click Open 3D Maps. Either method opens the mapping add-in. Take a look towards the Add Layer pane. There you can see a location box with a plus sign and text Add Field. Click this to add a field. I need to scroll through the worksheets connected to the workbook to find Global Pop by Country. Having located that, I left click Country. Immediately to the right there is a drop down box. I click to open and view the options available to me. I choose Country Region. Immediately below the size box in the Add Layer pane there is a box named Category. I click to add a field. I repeat the previous procedure and scroll down to find Global Pop by Country worksheet and left click Capital to add this field. If you cast your eyes up a little, you will see 5 icons. One for stacked chart, the second a cluster column chart, the third for bubble visualization, another for heat map, and the last one changes the visualizations by region. I'm going to select region visualization. Immediately you can see the map changes. Countries are colored in. If we take a look at Africa, you can probably notice in the middle of Africa the Democratic Republic of the Congo isn't colored. This illustrates the data source needs to be up to date if you wish to reflect changes. Let's take a quick tour. I'm going to switch to bubble visualization. In the middle window lower left there is a minus and a plus sign. Clicking these buttons I can decrease or increase the size of the globe. I can use the arrowheads to navigate my way around the globe. Let's suppose I wish to get a better view of the data visualization. Looking up at the ribbon Home tab in the View section, I click the Tour Editor and Field List and Layer Pane icons. As you can see, as I do so, I get a better look at the globe. If I move my mouse cursor over the highlighted circles, I can read the name of the country. When I add another layer, for example population, I will see population growth or decline in the text box for that country. And that's what I'm going to do now. To add another layer, I need to add my editor tools. To do this, I simply click the Tool Editor, Layer Pane and Field List icons in the Home tab. Next, I click to Add layer button, I name the layer growth rate. I really should think of a more descriptive name, but let's move on. In the location box, I click to add a field. Next, I need to scroll down towards the bottom to find Global Pop by Country worksheet. I left-click Country to select Country. Immediately on the right-hand side, you will see a drop-down box appears with Select Text within a box. I left-click and select Country Region. Take a look to the left and you will see a field list window. I scroll down towards the bottom, and under Global Pop by Country I see Global Population Growth Percentage. I left click Population Growth Rate Percentage to mark this as my active choice, and I hold down the left mouse button and drag my choice over to the category box. For this layer I'm going to leave the stacked column visualization option. I can remove the legend by right clicking and choosing Remove. Let's take a look at the results. To give me a better view of the globe, I repeat the steps I made earlier to clear the tool editor, layer pane and field list by clicking their associated icons. Now, when I move the mouse cursor over the highlighted area symbols, I can read the name, the country, the capital and the population figure. If you take a look at the ribbon, you can create a video and play a tour. This is a simple presentation, so this video will be short. Nevertheless, it gives you an idea of what you can achieve. Let's move on to the next section, formatting tools. A quick review of what was achieved in the previous section. Let's suppose you want to review and edit your map. It's simply a question of clicking the Excel Insert tab and the 3D map icon. A map window opens. You can click on the map you created previously. Alternatively, you can create a new one by simply clicking the plus sign Create New at the bottom of the window. I'm going to show you how to change the map's format, and to do this I'm going to click on the map previously created. In the Home tab I click the Themes icon and I have a number of options to choose. I'm going to click Grey to show you the result. Suppose I'm not happy with Grey format. I click the theme icon again and choose another. I'm going to select Black to give an International Space Station perspective. Not happy with either, so I will return to the original option. I want to add a little more detail, so I click the map labels and names of countries appear. As I magnify the globe and zoom in, I begin to see major cities, natural features such as mountains, rivers and lakes. Sometimes a flat map is a better presentation option. Clicking the flat map icon achieves this choice. It's worth noting flat maps do distort country sizes. For example, at the equator, countries appear smaller. If you move towards the Arctic areas of the globe, countries appear wider. Despite this, a flat map does suit some scenarios. There may be occasions you wish to view a particular part of the world. You can easily achieve this by opening the Find Location icon and entering the location you wish to view, for example, Buckingham Palace, London. These tools are the primary formatting tools we have available. Let's move on to the next section, using categories. This section is short and I'd like to pick up where I left off. As you can see, I'm using the same map as previously. I'm going to use continents as a category. First, I'm going to add a new layer. Next, I name it Continent. From the Global Pop by Country worksheet field list, I drag the country to location and continent to category. Immediately a legend appears and continents can be identified by colour and name. I can remove the legend by right-clicking and selecting Remove. If I want to restore the legend, I click the ribbon legend icon. I can drag, reposition and resize the legend if I so wish. If I wish to simplify what I'm viewing, I can hide country capital and population growth rate layers by clicking the hide icon next to the layer title name. Imagine for a moment you wanted to display different products and identify where the products were sold to. You can easily do so. Perhaps your product service offering is driven by weather. Knowing the areas where your offering sells well might help you identify why they're not selling in another area. Perhaps a different marketing strategy for that area might work, and you want to observe results over time. That's how we use categories. The next video section, I'll introduce you to adding a scene to a tour. Again, I'm going to pick up where I left off in the previous section. As you can see, I've changed the icons from stacked columns to bubble and reactivated my view layer called population growth rate. Firstly, to create scene 1, I'll position a globe to focus upon Europe. To create scene 2, I position a globe over Africa. To add Africa as a new scene, I simply click the new scene icon in the ribbon. Next, I navigate across the globe to Asia and simply click new scene icon again. Given the size and spread of Asia, I'll reposition the globe and repeat to add another scene for Asia. Next, I'll navigate down to Oceania, Australia and the South Pacific. I'll repeat add scene. I'll navigate to North America and repeat to add scene. I'll reposition to show South America and repeat add scene. Next, I'm going to name the tour to continental populations. I can set up more than one tour if I so wish, but I'm not going to do it on this occasion. I click the first scene and I click the gear icon to allow me to alter settings. I begin by renaming it to Europe. I can change duration for the scene if I so choose. I repeat for scene 2 and name that Africa. For scene 3, I'll rename that to North Asia, and for scene 4, rename that to South Asia. Scene 5, I'll rename that to Oceania. For scene 6, I'll rename that North America, and scene 7, I'll rename to South America. I'll return to the first scene, Europe, and again open the settings for the scene and take a look at the effect drop-down options. If I leave the selection as no effect, the scenes will rotate. As you've seen earlier on in this video, globe rotation, I choose flyover. For the next scene, I choose circle. For the next, I choose dolly, and for the next scene, I choose figure of 8, and for the next, pushing. Obviously, this wouldn't be a good idea for real-world presentation. It's generally better for maximum impact to choose just one or two effects. You want the audience's attention to focus upon the data, not the effects. Lastly, before I play the tour, I want to reposition a couple of the legends, and I'll begin with scene 1. Next, I select scene 2. I activate population growth rate layer. I reposition the legends. For remaining scenes, I'll remove the legends. Let's play the tour. As you can see, all the effects have a rotational element. Suppose I want to delete a scene, I simply move my mouse cursor over the scene and click the cross. I can click and drag a scene and reposition a scene order if I so choose. That about covers it. In the next video section, I'll cover adding text box and annotations. We'll begin where I left off. You already know about legends. Now I'll show you how you can add text box, the one you're seeing on screen now. The keen-eyed among you will probably see the text box icon. Simply click that to add a text box. As you can see, text can be coloured, the text can be repositioned. I can edit the text box by right-clicking and choosing Edit. Let's do that. As you can see, text font size, shading, self-explanatory functions if you are used to using Microsoft Office. Suppose you wish to shade the text box. Click the shade icon and select a background colour. Let's add an annotation to South Africa. I hover over the icon for South Africa, I right click and choose Add Annotation. As you can see, very similar to the text box function, but has slightly different purpose. This time I'm going to choose Image to be different. I click the radio button and then the image icon. Next I'll navigate to the picture I wish to insert. Having added the image, I can change the size and the position. I'm happy with defaults. I add Nelson Mandela's name, I change the font color to red and shade the image with a yellow background. Last thing I do is click OK, and as I navigate the globe you can see the image follows provided South Africa is on screen. If I navigate to Asia, then the image disappears. In the next section we'll be covering inserting a 2D chart. Before I insert a 2D chart, I'm going to scroll down to North America scene. I'll click New Scene icon. Immediately below, an additional scene has been added. I realised upon reflection I would like to remove this scene to another location in the tour. I simply click the scene and hold the mouse button down. I drag the scene to below South America. Next, I click the 2D icon in the ribbon. A pop-up window appears. I click the drop down to select I wish to add the chart. I choose the population growth rate and click Insert. I close the tool editor pane by clicking the tool editor icon in the ribbon to give me a bit more space to play with. In the top right hand corner of the chart, there I find a chart icon with a drop down. I can choose a different style if I so wish to. I'm going to choose horizontal bar chart. Looking down, I can read top 100 locations. If I click this, I can view the bottom 100 locations. Click again and I return to the top 100. Move your eyes slightly to the right a little and you will see a figure, and to the right an arrow head pointing down. Click this. A list of population growth figures is listed, both positive and negative. I choose 2.13. Two countries are shown. I click Central African Republic. Notice Luxembourg is greyed out. I'm going to resize the chart. First I'm going to show you how to remove the map navigation. Look towards the bottom right hand corner and you'll see three icons. Click Show, Hide Navigation button. Click the zoom to the selection on the map. I want to reduce the size of the chart. I hover over the chart bottom right hand corner and left click the round circle icon and holding the mouse button down drag to resize. Suppose I wish to change the bar color. I can do that by making sure layer panel I'm working in is the population growth rate layer, the one I added the chart to. If the layer isn't fully expanded, I click the arrow to do so. I scroll down, I'm looking for layer options, I expand this. I locate the color option. If I click the 2.13 drop down, I see a list of other figures. If I click the color box drop down next to the 2.13, I can choose an alternative color for 2.13. I choose a light blue. I return to 2.13 drop down and choose -0.58 and change the dark green to yellow. I'll move my attention to the chart and click the figure drop down to select -0.58. Bulgaria bar is yellow. Before I end, I'm going to show you how to return the map view to normal. Again, cast your eyes down to the bottom right hand corner and you'll see three icons. The one furthest away from the right displays an icon that returns the window view back to normal. If you wish to add back the map navigation icons as well, click the icon furthest to the right. That's a quick overview of the 2D chart. In the next section, I will show you how to display your data over time. Visualizing data over time is one of the most powerful ways we can communicate data insights to our audience. On screen now, you're viewing a freely available downloadable database attained from gapminder.org. If you haven't already discovered Gapminder, I highly recommend you do so. It's a fabulous, informative resource. The data shows carbon dioxide total emissions by country from 1751 to 2011. As you can probably guess, there isn't much data for the first 200 years, so I'm going to remove 1751 to 1914. However, I do need to edit the data worksheet to just show annual totals. I will save the worksheet and rename the workbook. Next, I need to click the Data tab and select New Query icon drop-down. I choose from File, and in the associated submenu I will choose from Workbook. Next, I need to browse to the database I wish to use. Next, in the Navigator window, I seek and select the database table I want to use. Then I cast my eyes down to Load button and click this. In the Workbook Queries pane, I move my mouse over to hover over the table icon and click Edit in the Data window. Table Query window opens. My first step is to click the Used First Row as Headers icon in the Home tab ribbon. My second step is to name the query. I'm going to name the query Annual CO2 Emissions. Now I need to massage the data. I require one row of data for each data point. For example, country name holds a single amount. To achieve that, I need to unpivot the data. That's simpler than you might think. I click column B, so it's highlighted, and scroll to the last column. I press the Shift key down and click the last column to highlight the entire table. Now I switch my attention to the ribbon and click Transform tab. Under the Any Columns section, I click Unpivot Columns icon arrow head to reveal options and click Unpivot Columns. That's it. My next requirement is to retitle the columns. I click the first column and right click, and in the side menu I click Rename. I'm going to obviously name this column Country. The next column I name that year. I suspect you can guess the name of the next column. I name it CO2 Emissions. Next, I need to select the newly named CO2 emissions column. I require the column to be highlighted to enable me to change the data type. Looking at the Transform tab ribbon, in Any Column section, I click the data type Any drop down to choose decimal number. I want to round the number to 2 decimal places. I can do this by clicking at the ribbon tab Number Column section and picking Round drop down and choose Round. A new window opens. In the window decimal box I enter the number 2 and click OK. Looking at the year column, I can see this is text. I can guess this is the case because the number is to the left of the cell. Under the Any Column section, I click the Data Type drop down and select Date. I now need to apply and close this query. I click File and select Close and Load. The data is now in a format that will enable me to create a map. I click the ribbon Insert tab and click 3D Map icon. As you can see, location has already been populated with country, as this is the only geodata present. If you look at the map, you will see a dot in the center of countries. I'm going to name the layer CO2 emissions. The next question is, what do I want to plot? Given the data is about CO2 emissions, I can assume that is what I want to plot. In the height box, I place the CO2 emissions. I don't want totals to be shown for the entire period, so I choose no aggregation rather than sum. Next, in the time box, I place, or should I say, select year. I remove the legend by right-clicking and click Remove. Notice in the top left-hand corner, the date and time is now shown. I only want year to show. I place the mouse cursor over the entry and right click, and in window that now appears I choose time format to be just the year number. I'm going to change the text color to dark red as this stands out, and more importantly this gets viewers' attention. I click accept. Given Europe has made a significant contribution to CO2 emissions, I'll zoom the globe in to show Europe. Looking up at the Home ribbon under View section, I'll click the Tool Editor, Layer Pane and Field List. This gives us a better view of the globe. Now I click Play. Hopefully you can see the blocks grow. To give us a better view of this, I click the Layer Pane icon in the ribbon and I will choose the Heat Map option. Next I will click the Layer options. I'm going to change the radius to increase the size of the heat map symbols by 100%. For the color scale, I'm going to increase that to 400%. Now I'm going to change the color of the symbols by clicking Color drop down and choosing Custom. For low, a light blue, and for high, a dark red. I click the Layer Pane icon again and click Play. Clearly, Britain and Germany are the main offenders. If I wanted to lengthen the video duration, all I need to do is click the Settings gear on the Play button control. Alternatively, in the Tool Editor, I select the appropriate scene and click the gear icon to open the same menu. I'm happy with the default of 10 seconds. If I wished, I can pause the scene or slide the play head to show a particular year. If you have spatial and chronological sales data, this becomes a powerful presentation format for getting your facts across to your audience in an easy to understand format. Lastly, it's a good idea to name your tour scenes. I'm going to name this CO2 Annual Emissions for 1915 to 2011. If I added scenes for Africa, Asia and the Americas, I could create a nice video, for example a PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint, as you would expect, has no problem with power map videos or any other type of video. Like always, only add a video if the presentation benefits your audience, not because you can. To end this section, I should mention public databases and those not set up by you may have issues, for example dates, numbers being text rather than numerical, and minus signs not being minus signs. If you are unsure how to edit such data errors, you can remedy that by reviewing the second video in the series, Power Query, the last section, Troubleshooting. This section of the video is short, nevertheless an important part given the work that has gone into acquiring, massaging the data to present your data to your audience. Take a look at the Home tab ribbon. There you will see an icon in Tool section called Capture Screen. When you click this, a screenshot is taken. Next, I switch to PowerPoint blank slide and click Paste. Initially you might think, so what? Let's step back to Excel Power Map screen. On screen, you'll see the Tool Editor, the Screen Options window, Play Tour tool, and the Navigation and Magnification tools. But when you pasted your image into PowerPoint, these were automatically removed for you. Let me demo that again, but first I slide the image back to 1945 and then click Capture Screen and paste that to PowerPoint. This last section I'm going to briefly cover Power Map video production. Firstly, I'm going to add a few scenes. In the Home tab ribbon, I click the new scene in the Scene section. In the new Active Scene window, I position the globe to show Africa. I repeat the action to create a new scene. This time I position the globe over Asia. I'll click the new scene icon again and position the globe over Australia. I'll repeat the action to create a new scene and move the globe to show North America. I'll repeat the actions to create a scene for South America. Each slide scene default timing is 10 seconds. I'm going to change each slide to 6 seconds. Now I have configured the scenes, I'm going to create the video by clicking Create Video. A new window appears and is self-explanatory. I want to add a soundtrack, so I click Soundtrack Options. Next I browse to select the track I want to use. Make sure you have permission to use a track if the track is copyrighted. I've chosen a track with a free-to-use license. I click Apply, then click Create. Next I need to name the video. I simply name it Yearly CO2 Emissions from 1945 to 2011. Then I click Save. Next we have to wait for the video to render. Now the video has completed, I click Open. The default video player opens to play the video. I'm going to close that and not play the video. Instead, I open PowerPoint presentation I began in the previous section. I want to show you how easy it is to add the video to PowerPoint. I'll click the PowerPoint ribbon Insert tab and click the video icon. In the drop down I choose Video on my PC. I navigate to my video folder and select the video I just created and click Insert. PowerPoint adds the video, all I need to do is click play. Concludes this presentation. Next video in the series will cover creating and formatting PowerView reports.